Yeah, exactly. Today I'm Matteo. I'm going to explain, show a little bit what Roqoqo is, and give also a little bit of a quick lesson about quantum computing in general. So first off, we are HQS Quantum Simulations. We are a quantum computing startup born out of Karlsruhe Institute of Technology in Germany. We provide software for material scientists in the chemical industry, as well as collaborate with academia. Software is specifically focused on describing quantum level models of materials in order to better understand their molecular properties. It is possible to achieve this. It is possible to perform exact simulations of these materials if the problem is small enough, if the quantum system is small enough. On let's say classical machines, but unfortunately due to computational power reasons, as soon as the problem gets too big, we cannot do it anymore. So you may have heard in recent years the development of so-called quantum machines that directly can interact on a quantum level with particles, so that we can encode the information that we want to study, and then directly extract what we need, so compute exactly what you need. There is a problem in that currently, due to technological reasons, the current quantum machines introduce lots of noise in the simulation, so a source of errors. So what we try to do is to develop methods so that can directly take this noise given during the computation as a resource instead of a drawback. The main package that we built that we use to achieve this is called Roqoqo. Currently, in quantum computing, the standards is either to rely on full Python packages or on Python packages with some core utils written in Rust or C++ for performance reasons. To the best of our knowledge, Roqoqo is the first full Rust package in quantum computing, but we have also built a Python interface called Coco using Pyo3, mainly for ease of use reasons from the user's perspective, but also to let them have access to the Python ecosystem. The general goal of Roqoqo is to build a complete quantum program that can be run on these quantum machines. The main element of the quantum program is a way to describe this kind of interaction, this molecular interaction that we are interested in to represent it. And this is achieved by describing a so-called quantum circuit. It can be defined as a sequence of operations on qubits. We can read the figures from left to right. The horizontal lines are the qubits, the quantum equivalent of bits. So because they can have assume a state of both either 0 or 1, and the squares and dots and crosses represent the operation that we want to act on those qubits to encode the information that we want to compute. This example shows a quantum coin flip quantum circuit, in that it takes advantage of one particular characteristic of quantum mechanics called superposition. Difference between qubits and bits is that qubits can be at the same time both in a state of 0 and 1. And this is achieved by the application of the first gate represented by the H, called Hadamard gate. After the application of the gate, the first qubit, so the first horizontal line, will then be in a superposition of either being with a 50% probability in a state of 0 or with a 50% probability of being in a state of 1. After that, so it's literally just like a coin flip, representation of a coin flip. We then apply a controlled NOT operation involving both qubits. So the first qubit controls a modification, a rotation of the quantum state of the second one. Specifically, if the first qubit is in a state of 1, we then flip the quantum state of the second qubit. After this, we have achieved what's so-called quantum entanglement, in that if we were to perform a measurement of this quantum system represented by the squares with the arrows, we would obtain either heads on both qubits, so either 0, let's say, or tails on both qubits, so either or 1. The third line, represented by a C, is basically a classical registers, classical bits that we need to use in order to save the information at the end of the computation. The script on the right represents literally just what just described. So we create an instance of the circuit. We define the classical register, give it a name of C, We then apply the Hadamard operation followed by the CNOT operation on the first qubit, then on both qubits, and then we perform the measurements in the end. Since this is a small enough example, it is possible to use exact simulators. Specifically, we built one called Roqoqo Quest, so in this case, we create a backend instance and simply call a run circuit method that will either return with 50% probability the heads for both qubits or 50% probability tails. Of course, we are also interested in running this kind of circuit in real backend, so real quantum machines, and so we have different packages that allow us to do this. That also, especially take into consideration some specific technological limitations given by the machines, in that it may be possible that some operations that I've just described are not natively executable on the machine, for example, as well as other problems. So this is a quick summary of what Roqoqo can do. In general, create, modify, serialize, generally process quantum circuits, as well as additionally information regarding the type of measurement that you want to perform at the end of the computation. This is all achieved using Rust, and I wanted to leave you also a final slide can show you that links to the repository called Roqoqo Examples, where you can find examples for both Roqoqo as well as Coco. So I guess this is everything for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the talk. There is a little bit of time for a question. Right, so there was one question. It seems to be partly answered already. Maybe we can have your take as well. So there's a question from the audience. How does the runtime of the classical computation compare with the types of quantum simulation they correspond to?
Well, there's no real answer. Let's say it really depends on the problem that we want to compute. So if you're interested in performing, let's say, exact simulations, we are limited by the problem of memory, that we need to take into consideration huge matrices. But then it is also possible, depending on the method of simulation, to compute approximate solutions. So there's no definitive answer. I would say maybe if we can talk specifically later in Gather Town, we can have a more in detail talk. But so that's it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can understand that.